Okay, I will get started. Welcome to Google Meet 101. This is more so a course if you weren't sure if you wanted to use Google Meet. This year I decided to go, I know I'm using Zoom right now just so I can show you everything on Google Meet. But last year I was very big with Zoom, and I do still like it a lot, but Google Meet is coming out with a lot of new features, and it has things that are already there that I think really benefit my students, and it's much easier for them to navigate on their own. So this is my, I guess you can call it a trainer slide. So if you ever have any questions, you can just click right on the envelope or on the Twitter, and you can always message me or email me, whatever is easiest for you. My name is Brittany Gelmine. I'm a 3rd grade teacher at Lindcrest Elementary School. I'm Google Level 1 and 2 certified. I'm a Neopod educator, and I'm a proud dog mom. You might hear her crying today. I'm sorry, she's very talkative. Okay, so things that we'll go over today are how, of course, how to create a Meet. There's 2 different ways that you can do so. I'm also going to teach you how to link the Meet code in your Google Classroom. I'm going to show you how you can screen share on Google Meet. There's a few different options. Some settings options, and how to use Jamboard, which is technically like your whiteboard that you can use on Zoom. And I'm also going to show you a few extensions that I do use now, but in the future they are going to come out with new updates, so you won't need them at all. But just for this month at least, I have them and I use them almost every single day with my students. Okay. So first, I'm going to show you, so what I'll do, if you've been with me in PD before, I like to show you on the slide. I like to read it first, and then I'll actually go in and show you how to do it. So first, I'll teach you how to create and schedule a Google Meet. So those are technically the same thing, but 2 different ways to do it. To create one, all you'd have to do is go to meet.google.com. You can click join or start a meeting, and then you can add a name if you'd like to, but you don't have to. I usually leave it blank just because I'm trying to make one quickly. And then you can copy the joining information, and you just post that to any location where you want someone to join. The thing with Google Meet is that you can only join, for us at least, if you have a WTSDNJ.com domain, so you have to be part of the district. So I know many teachers were afraid of the Zoom bombers. They can't really do that in Google Meet unless they're another student in the district. So maybe it's an older sibling that comes in and they just say hi, but you can see their email and you can figure out who it is right away. They can't change that. So I'll show you how to do that first. Okay, I'm going, so I'll open a tab and I go to meet.google.com. Sorry, I'm not used to Zoom with you guys on the side. This is new for me. Okay, so I went to meet.google.com, and as you can see, this is your screen. The picture always changes. That doesn't really affect you at all. And make sure, I know a lot of us are using personal computers, that on the top, it's your school account. So just always make sure it's your school. If it's not, you won't have all the features, and students won't be able to add it for you. So I'm just going to click join or start meeting right here. You can click anywhere on this. And if you want to add a nickname, you can. I just will show you. Google Meet 101, and then you can press continue. So it'll bring you to this screen. And camera won't work because I'm on my camera for Zoom, but it'll look like this, and then you just click join now. Okay, and then this is where you can, I'm not echoing, am I? I hope I'm not. If I am, I'm sorry. But to use the information, if you just want to paste it somewhere quickly, you just press copy joining info, and then you don't have to join. I'm just going to send it in the chat just to show you how easy it is. So this is just the Zoom link, for example. So you'd be able to just click on it and add yourself to this right away. Or if you want only specific students to join, you can add people, and you can just click their names, or type the names, I'm sorry. You can type them right in there for you. So that it's very easy to use. And then I'm just going to end it because I want to show you something else before I move on. And another way to schedule is if you go into your Google Calendar. If you don't use your Google Calendar, I do recommend starting to. It will have all of your assignments from Google Classroom on there. And then if you have scheduled meets, they'll also show for you. Same if you have, maybe if it's something like a meeting or IEP meeting, they usually put them in for you as well. So it's just an easy way to keep everything together and keep it on the go for you. So if you go to calendar.google.com, you can click the plus create on the top left corner. And then you can title your meeting whatever you'd like to. You can select whatever date and time. You can add the video conferencing button, which is where you would add Google Meet. If you do think you want to stick to Zoom, you can also do that with Zoom. They allow that feature now. And then a link will be created automatically for you. So you can share that in email. You can wait until the day of to send it. And then you can also, if you wanted to, you can add certain people to the scheduled meet as well. So the scheduled meet is just if you don't want it right now, you can schedule it for another day. So you don't have to open it up and start right away. So calendar.google.com. And mine, of course, has things in it. I also have a Google Calendar, which actually will tell me when the updates occur, so I know, which is all the newer ones that we've all been waiting patiently for. So in the top right corner, you see plus create. You just click on that. And then you can add a title. So I'll just name it Google for now. You can label it as an event, out of office, reminder, task, appointment, slots, whatever you'd like. I usually just leave it as event. And then you select the date. So you just click on it. And I'll make it for next Friday at, we'll do 8 a.m. And Google is very organized, so it actually tells you how many hours it is next to the time. So we'll just do 4.5 hours. And then if you want to repeat, it can. You can add guests. I'm not going to, but you can type in emails right here. And right here where it says add video conferencing, that's where you would click on it and you would click Google Meet. And you can have up to 250 participants since the district pays for it, so you can have a lot more people in Meet now. If you want to add location, you can. You can add a description. And this is which calendar it goes to. If you look over on the left-hand side, it says My Calendars, and these are all the calendars that I have. For each classroom, Google Classroom you have, it makes a new calendar. So you can always check or uncheck it if you don't want it to show or if you do. So there's a few of them that I dismiss because I don't use them anymore. So I'll just, if you click on it, you can choose which one you want. I'm just going to leave it to my own calendar, and you change the color, make it tangerine. And if you want that, you can even set an alarm for you. I usually just leave it at 10 minutes, but I don't really use that too often. And then all you have to do is, so you press save right here. And then you can see on Friday, 8 a.m., I have Google. And then you can press right here, it says copy conference to clipboard. So you just copy it, and then you'd be able to paste that anywhere that you need to as well. Okay, so that is how you would either create a meet or schedule a meet. There are videos I created right down here for each one. So both of those would show you how to do each in case you want to go back and look at it later. Next, I will show you how to link Google Meet to Google Classroom. If you're not familiar with Google Classroom, I do have a whole nother PD on that. It is on the district page under, it should be under elementary school. So you can always look at that if you need help with Google Classroom, but this is just going to show how to add Meet to it. So all you do is go to classroom.google.com. You click on the gear on the top right corner, and then under Meet, there's a code that will generate for you. So you can make it visible to students. You can hide it from students if you don't want them to use it at a certain time. And make sure to save your settings when you're all done. Then that code is going to show up on your banner, which is on the top of your screen, on the stream screen. So the students can always see it right underneath the label of the class. And if you ever needed to, you can reset the Meet link, and I'll show you how to do that as well. So I'm going to go to classroom.google.com. I'm just going to create one because there's student work on the other one. I don't want to show that. So here's a how-to of how to create a class. And then you're going to go to the gear right up here. And then this is where all of your details are, general information is, and right here is a new feature. So all you have to do is click Generate Meet Link. You click that, and then it makes it for you, so it's all done. And this is your Meet for your classroom. They can use it for everything. We use this every day. The students come and go as they need to. They know they're third graders, so they now know how to X out of the meet and come back 20 minutes later after a break if they need to. They're really skilled with this. Actually pretty impressive how much they've learned. And if you need to change it, you just click the arrow, and then you can reset it just by clicking that. Now it's a new code, or you can copy it, same way that I did the others, and you can send it to someone if you needed, maybe your principal needed to observe you can just send them the code that way. And then this is visible to students, so you can make it not visible to students, or you can make it visible to students so they can see the meet code. And then you have to click save in the top right corner. And this is your banner, which I mentioned before, if you weren't sure what this is called. Of course, you can always change the background. I'm just leaving it for now. But your meet link is always right here, and students can click right on it, and it will bring them to their meet. And with this, I learned this feature this year. Students cannot go into the meet without a teacher present, but they can stay in it if you leave before them. So just make sure you're the last to leave, or kick them all out before you leave, because some of them might stay and they might, I mean, maybe you want them to, but just for precautionary reasoning, you might want to make sure you're the last to leave. So just to show you it in people. So teachers will be up here, students are down here. If you have a co-teacher, just make sure to add him or her up to teachers, not in students, so that they can access the meet if they need to go in before you, if they need to go in with a small group. Just a little fact to throw in. I think I saw the chat. Let me just check that. Oh, thank you for saying that. So on the iPad, I don't have my iPad died because I was using it earlier. But on the iPad, you don't see it on the banner. It will actually, on the top right corner, it looks like a little video, like a video player, like a video camera. And you just click on that and it'll bring you right to the meet. Okay, so that's how you link your Google Meet to your Google Classroom. Okay, next is how you would screen share on Google Meet. So while in a meet, you click the Present Now button, which is always on the right corner. The bar doesn't always show on the bottom. You sometimes have to browse over it, kind of like on Zoom, how it goes to the top. On Google Meet, it's all on the bottom. So you can share your screen, a window, or a tab. So if you want to share your screen, they can see everything. They can see the bottom of your screen. They can see everything you have open. If you share a window, it's just going to show one window. And then if you show a tab, it would just be one of the little tabs that you probably have open on Chrome. And what I really do like with this is, some people don't like it. I actually enjoy this feature. You can flip back and forth from Meet to a tab that you're sharing. And right over here, the little blue rectangle that you see, that means that you're presenting that tab. So you always know what you're presenting. It always shows you, and you can always switch through pages if you need to. So let's try it again. So someone asked if when creating a meeting in Google Classroom, can you schedule a time of the meeting, or can the students access it at any time? So students cannot go in unless you're in that meet, but you can always hide the code where I showed you in Google Classroom, where it says make visible to students. You can hide it from students so they can't even see it if you wanted to wait until a specific time of the day for them to go in. And if you wanted to, you can always use a different code other than the one linked to Google Classroom for them. So you can send them a completely different code if you wanted to. And that can be for a small group work if that is what you were looking to do. But like I said, they cannot go in from the Google Classroom link unless the teacher's in there. And the waiting room is, the feature is not available yet. They're working on it. So they said hopefully in the beginning of October that will be available. So there isn't a waiting room, but again, students aren't able to go in unless the teacher's in first if you use the link in Google Classroom. So they technically can't go in without you, but once you open it, they're free to come in. And I'm not sure if everyone was here earlier when I mentioned it, but with Google Meet, students can, or anyone, the only people that can go in are people with Woodbridge Township emails. So if they don't have a Woodbridge Township domain, they cannot go into your Meet. So if you're trying to, just for an example, I know this I wasn't, I liked doing this, but we can't with Google Meet, so we can always use Zoom instead. If you had a mystery reader and it was a parent, they wouldn't be able to use their personal email to come in, but they can always just go up with their son or daughter and they can come onto the screen under the student's email, if that makes sense. Okay, and for screen sharing, I'll show you how to do that now. So I'm just going to open, you can always do it from here too. This is your waffle, and any type of Google anything is usually right here. Yours might look different than mine. You can move them around. So I'm going to click Meet. I'm just going to open one quickly. Join now, and it will look like this. So on the bottom right is, let me just mute that. On the bottom right is where it says Present Now. So I'm going to click that, and these are where you have your different options. So if you share your entire screen, so that it shows you right here everything that the students will see. So they're going to see everything that you have on the bottom. They're going to see all of your tabs. So you can use this one if it's something that you need. Sometimes I use this if I've been doing a lot of how-tos with my students. So maybe you want them to see your tabs and you say, okay, maybe you're on this tab, but you need to click onto this one. So this would be a good option. And this is just what it looks like for you. So it looks exactly the same, except down here, it tells you that you're sharing just in case you forget or you have it open. And for the students, I know a lot of them have grid view, which I'll talk about in a little bit. It moves their pictures to the side and your screen is available in the corner of their Google Meet screen. So I'm going to stop sharing. So they're still able to see all of their friends and then and teachers, and then they're able to see what you're presenting as well. You can also just share a window. So a window would just be, instead of a tab, it's just, so you can move the tab down and make a new window if you wanted to. So for example, if you can do this one, which is completely different. So right now it's not showing, I just see them still, but it's sharing my other window that isn't on this screen right now. So you can share that if you'd like to. Or my favorite way to share is a Chrome tab, just because I think it's easier for me to see. So you can choose which one you want to present. I'm going to click the PD, and I'm going to share audio. With Google Meet, the only way to share audio, so if you're trying to show a video, would be if you do it through a Chrome tab. There were some problems when teachers were trying to share their entire screen, the audio wasn't working well. So I definitely recommend using a Chrome tab to share audio. And you can see it's clicked right here. So I'm going to share, and it'll bring you to the screen, but right up here, I can just go back to the Meet to look at my students, and I'm still sharing the Google Meet PD because the little blue box is on the top of that screen. So it's still sharing this, the students can still see it, but I'm looking at all of them. So I flip back and forth, and I'm very lucky to have a co-teacher this year, so usually one of us will man the chat, and then the other one will present something, and we usually flip, but it would, if I was by myself, I'd definitely be able to use this, and I'd be able to monitor everything as well. And then say you're on Google Meet PD and you want to share your drive instead. You would just click on the new tab, and then right up here, you would share this tab instead. And then the blue box is up here now, so you can see now students will be able to see this. Okay, I see the chat. So I'm going to show you something else in a little bit. I didn't want to jump ahead. You would have to flip back and forth unless you there's an extension right now that you can use which splits your screen, and I'll show you that in a second. Or I like to be very complicated, of course, but I have a big TV in my classroom, and I have my my Chromecast, so I can take a tab and I can drag it to my TV. I share the screen, so I can see all of my students, and then when I'm presenting on my computer, that's something else you can look into. I can, on the last slide, I can add some links of how to do that if anyone's interested. But for right now, you can either, I'll show you really quick so it'll make more sense. So you can make it smaller, like this. That was my other window that was open. And then if you take it and you drag it out, you can just do this. So now you can see both at one time. I'm not going to play with it right now, but you can see I split my screen. I can see my students on the right side, and I can see what I'm presenting on the left. Okay, so that would just, here. if that's easier for you. If you want to see both at one time, you can absolutely do that. So I'm going to share this tab. Okay. And so now I am sharing this screen, but I can see all of my students over here. And I know it doesn't look the same because no one's in it right now, but you would be able to see all of them in this screen. So you can always split your screen. Okay. All right, and those are different ways that you can screen share in Google Meet. Next, I'll show you some settings options. So on the bottom right corner, next to where it says Present Now, there's the 3 dots, which is called your Jelly Bean. You'll see that a lot through Google. They like to use the same buttons. When you click it, it will show all of your settings, which in this picture, you can see all of them for right now. In here, what I've heard and what I've seen with all the the research that I've been doing on all of the new features, this is where the breakout rooms will show once they're available. Since we are a district domain, we do, so if you saw my Google Calendar that there was screen blurring available starting, it started this Monday. We don't have access to that yet because since we're such a big district, it takes longer for us to have access to these features. So I would probably expect the 2nd or 3rd week in October to start seeing things like that. But right in here is where the screen blurring will be. And in here is where the breakout rooms will be, and I'm forgetting there's something else that's coming. They'll all show in the settings right where it says record meeting. It'll be right up in here. But for the settings, this is where you can, of course, record the meeting, which some of us I know like to do. You can change the layout of your screen. You can turn on captions, which is a new feature that I sometimes use if it's getting glitchy. And then you can change the settings of your speaker, microphone, or video if you have different things hooked up to your computer. Yes, thank you for asking that. So you can absolutely host a Google Meet from this computer, and then I can open it up on my iPad. There's actually a really cool extension I just found, and because on your iPad it doesn't show the same as a computer, I definitely recommend using a Chromebook or a computer for Google Meet. On the iPad, you only see one big screen at a time, and they flip back and forth really quick. It's a lot to try to process at once. And then once they X out of it, they can't hear you. So if even for students, I would definitely request a Chromebook for them if you're using Google Meet, because if they go out of the Meet, they sometimes can't hear you, and it sometimes doesn't work too well. But I found something that I downloaded. So I can project my computer onto my iPad now. So I have the grid view layout extension, which again, I'll show you in a little bit, but I can see all of my students at once on my computer. So I shared my computer with my iPad, and I can see all of my students on my iPad now as well. And then with my TV, I like seeing the students big, so I share my, sorry, I'm getting confusing, but I share my iPad with my TV through the Apple TV. And that's been working very well for me. That way I can see the kids really big, I can see their faces, and it's just nicer to not be in a classroom by myself. And I saw Christina uses captions for hearing impaired students, and it definitely is very helpful for them. Sometimes it's even helpful for me because students either talk so fast, or again, it kind of glitches in and out sometimes because of course everyone has internet connection problems once in a while. But it really does show everything that they're saying, and it is truly helpful. So I'll show you that in settings right now. I keep closing it. There we go. Okay. So settings are this jelly bean right here. And if you browse over it, it says more options. So I'm going to click it. And then this is where if you wanted to, you can record a meeting. I don't want to do something to make my Zoom stop recording, so I don't want to click that right now, but you can record it. And then the nice thing about recording the meeting is it saves right to your drive. So it makes a little folder in your drive, and then all the recordings save right there. So it's nice and organized again. This is where you can change your layout. I'm sorry, I actually didn't explain that before. So over here are the different layouts, which I'll show you quickly. So you can do the sidebar, which shows all of your attendees on the side of your screen. You can be the spotlight, which means that the presentation, so if you're the active speaker and you're presenting, it's pinned to the feed and it fills the entire window. Or you can keep it as tiled. So right now it shows up to 16 people when there's no presentation, but since I have the grid view extension, I can see many more. I have, at most, we have 27 students and teachers and the student teacher in our Meet, and we're able to see everyone at once with the grid view extension. But Google is, again, making an update, so you won't need the extension, hopefully in October, and you'll be able to see, I want to say up to 40 or 50 people on the screen at one time. Okay, so for settings, you click here, and then to change the layout, no one's in here, so it won't really change, but you can do the sidebar. So then if there were people, they would show over here. You can do spotlight, which means if you're presenting, it's going to be your screen very big. Or you can do tiles. So if there are more, it would just make the pictures smaller so you can see all of them at one time. And then for captions, captions are right over here, or they're in here as well, so you can turn them on. And you can, I'm going to turn on my volume. I'm sorry if it echoes. So with the captions, you can see on the bottom that it dictates everything that I say. And I speak pretty quickly and it picks up everything I'm saying, so it's pretty impressive. And you can always turn them off just by clicking here or clicking in here as well in your settings. And lastly, for settings, you can go to your actual settings. And sometimes, to be completely honest, we're not, my co-teacher and I, we're not completely crazy about students wearing headphones, because sometimes when they try to speak, it doesn't work, and then they exit the Meet, they try to fix it themselves. But usually it's because the headphones don't have a microphone hooked into them. But if they were good with this, you can teach them, oh, you can go into your settings and you can maybe change the microphone, or you can change the speakers to make it work. So this is where you would do that, and you can test it. You see, I can hear the sound, which means that my speakers are working. And you can also change video settings. So if you have a different camera, this is where you would change it. You can change the resolution. And again, my camera is failing because I have my camera on for Zoom. It's not that my camera is just not working. Okay, I saw more questions. Let me just answer those before I move on. Thank you for the questions too, I appreciate them. Okay, so someone asked about the turning off the chat in Google Meet. That was one of the other features that they're creating. So you technically can't right now, but in hopefully a few weeks, you're going to be able to mute everyone or turn off the chat at once. There is an extension I have where you can't turn off the chat, but you, as yourself, you can mute it so it doesn't keep popping up. And then the mute all button is in that extension, but that will be a feature that is added as well. And I'll show you how to use that. I think it might be on the next slide or in 2 slides. So I'm definitely going to show you how to do that. Stop the background echo when sharing videos. A lot of parents are saying that videos are not clear and echoing. That would probably be connection problems, or if you personally, I've learned if you're using a Chromebook and you're presenting and you have a lot of tabs open, sometimes all of the tabs, it's just a lot for the Chromebook to process. It doesn't have that much of a processing ability as a regular laptop would. So mine's been okay on a regular. I have a Lenovo if anyone's looking for a new computer. It's been great. I haven't had any issues with it. But I noticed my co-teacher has a Chromebook, and many times it's like a really odd, loud echo noise, and it's kind of hard to listen sometimes. But she said her Chromebook or sometimes her iPad does that. So I would definitely, oh, you use your MacBook, really? So yeah, I'm not sure. I would try to maybe close some of the tabs and just keep open what you need at the time. And if that doesn't help, I would try to mute yourself in the Google Meet and then present from the other tab what you're presenting, because sometimes it's hearing in Google Meet voices like from the video, so it's trying to play the video through your speaker and then playing the actual video. So I would mute yourself in Google Meet and play the video from the Chrome tab. That might help. Perfect. Okay, so that was settings, different settings. Next, I see your questions about extensions. I promise I am going to get to them. I just want to make sure I don't forget any of these features as well, because they all are great. And I promise Google Meet has been working wonderful in our 3rd grade classroom. I'm not just saying that's all I've been using. It's kind of hard for me to use Zoom now. So next is Jamboard, and you can think of Jamboard as your whiteboard in class. We actually just had a really fun lesson with multiplication for students. You can add shapes, they can add sticky notes. I'll show you something that we made throughout the week, and the students absolutely love it. You can use Jamboard just to present something, or you can use it for them all to interact and make a collaboration kind of a board. So what you would do is go to jamboard.google.com, and you press I put the actual button right there. It's just an orange plus button on the bottom right corner. And you can name it whatever you'd like to, just like you would any Google document or slide. And then you can use it as, like I said, a whiteboard. And you can share that screen, or you can have students go to it all at one time. And again, there's a video over here of, I think I muted myself in that video, but you can see the different features and what they do if you click on them, if you watch that video. So I'm going to go to jamboard.google.com. And these are ones I've made. They always show right here, but I'm going to make a new one. So I'm going to click the plus button down here. It says New Jam. And it looks like this. So I'm going to title it up here, just Google. Press OK. So what I usually like to do is I'll add a text box over here. So you can have a text box and I'll add Google. And then you can change it to display largely, so it's in the middle. And students, I don't like this about Jamboard, but students can technically move this. I just I'll constantly remind them to make good choices. And I say with Google, teachers can see everything you're doing, and it usually kind of scares them, and they don't like touching anything. Or remind them to be bucket fillers and be mindful of, this is technology, and we're not going to use fun things if we can't use them correctly. So I usually write something like a topic really big in the middle. And down here, there's sticky notes. So if, say they have to respond to it, they can write 101, for example. So they can write sticky notes all over. Or if you wanted to, you can just go into Google Meet. And lots of clicking. So if you're in Google Meet, you can just present a Chrome tab and present your Jamboard. So now students can see what you're doing on here. So they can see that I'm dragging this around, or they can see that I typed Google. Or what you can do, and I'll do it with you right now just to show you, you can click share on the top right. And I'm just going to change the settings to editor. I can copy the link, and then I can share it with all of you in the chat. So I can say, you don't have to do this, but I'm just showing you, for example, I want all of, oh, I'm sorry, I sent that to someone privately. Everyone. So I can say, I want all of you to click on the link in the chat, and I want you to write something about Google that you know. And just so, again, you don't have to do that. If you want to, sure, go ahead. But for example, we talked about author's purpose all week. I'm sure other 3rd grade teachers have been doing the same. So I read a book, and then I put the sticky note on. So then I told students I want them to each put a book that they've read that entertains them. We did the same for books to persuade, and then we did the same for books to inform. And they really enjoyed doing this. They, as you can see, they came up with really great responses. And then right after they were done, I said, okay, we're done with responding to it. We're done clicking around. I changed the settings to viewer so they can't edit it anymore. And today, actually, since they're asynchronous, we gave them an activity to make a Jamboard and talk about their favorite type of book and why it's their favorite. And I shared this with them in Google Classroom so they can go back and just look at it. They can't edit it. So it is a great way for them to interact with each other. Sorry, the screen's at the, there we go. Okay, I see the chat again. So if you want them to write on it, for them to have the link to get to it, you can either share it with the students as you would normally share anything with anyone on Google, or you can give them the link in the chat and it'll bring them right to the presentation. I would definitely, before you share the link, definitely show them exactly what you want them to do, and definitely, I don't want to say warn them, but tell them, like, you should not be touching the letters, you shouldn't be touching anyone else's note, you shouldn't be changing anything but your own, because of course they're kids and they like to test things and see what they can do. But as students are writing on it, there's a little circle and it has their picture on it, so you can see who's doing exactly what. And we haven't really, but the other day we saw a student erasing something that someone else did, so of course we mentioned the pause and we said thank you for being respectful of Jamboard. And, you know, we told them hopefully we can use it again because they did a good job with it. So you would just, again, share the link like I did in the chat, and then you can tell them just click on the link and it'll bring them right to it. All right. And lastly, these are, in my book at least, these are must-have extensions. These are ones that I definitely use every day. GridView, I kind of forget that I even have it because it just does it for me now. So GridView is a way that you can see all of your students at once. Again, I can't remember how many exactly you can see at one time, but I can see my entire class, and we have 2 teachers and a student teacher with us, and we can see everyone. Dual List is a way that you can split your screen. So instead of doing it how I did, it just does it for you. And then the Google Meet Enhancement Suite, that's something new that I just downloaded that I absolutely love right now. There are features for free, but if you want to pay for it, I think it's, I found this code somewhere. I was watching a tutorial on it, and it's a code to give you 10% off. So I think it comes, instead of $7, it's like 6 maybe, like six and change. So this one, I would definitely, if you're going to use Meet every day, I would definitely download that. That's how I'm able to mute students, and I'm able to monitor a lot more things at once. It also has little emojis that you can add. So I know on the iPad you can add emojis, but on my computer I can't. So that's a good way for me to do it. GridView. So to download that, I linked all these pictures. So if you just click on it, it'll bring you right to the extension. Oh look, see, it looks like there's actually a lot more than 40 on this extension. I saw someone said that they had the GridView extension, but it wasn't working. This is the new one. So make sure you uninstall the old one and you add the green one. So if yours is gray, that one doesn't work for some odd reason. So to delete it, up on the top of your screen, there's a jelly bean, and you click it, you click more tools, and then click extensions. And then you just remove it, so it's not there anymore. And if you're trying to download these right now and they're not working, you have to actually X out of all of your tabs and then come back in for them to start working. So it kind of has to refresh your computer. So for GridView, I'll show you that first. For GridView, it's right up here. So up here is where you see your extensions. And if you don't see one that you want there, you just click the puzzle piece, and then it will show you all of them. And there's a little pin. You just click on the pin so that it's pinned there. Okay, so the first one is Google, the GridView. So the GridView is right here. And you don't really have to click on that one, but you just have to enable it first. So once you enable it, it's there. And it actually shows right in Google Meet now. So this right here, if you click it like that, that means that it won't be GridView. And if you click and it looks like that, that means it's on. So you can include yourself in the grid. I think someone said they couldn't see themselves. So make sure to include yourself, enable it by default. And then if you want, you can highlight speakers so it only shows who's speaking, or and you can only show participants with video if you prefer that. Of course, I'm not going to do that. Some students turn their video off, and I like to see that they're participating, or if I ask them to give me a quick wave, they do. So that's the first extension, that's GridView. And that's how you, again, you see all of your students at once and they look like a little grid. And remember, it's the new green one. It's not the old gray one. That one, I don't know what happened with that, but it's not working for anyone. Next is Dual List. And again, that's a way to split your screen. When you split it, you have to have the 2 tabs. So you see up here the 2 tabs. They have to be the last 2 tabs open. So like this one and I think that I can't see with the bar there, I'm sorry. Okay, so these 2 would be the screens that are splitting. So I'll just click on this, and then up in the extension, that's the Dual List one. And then you choose how you want to split this screen. So I want this one smaller, the Zoom one that's open, I think this is the right way. I want this one smaller and then the Google Meet bigger, so I'll click this one. Yep, that would actually open Drive. Okay, well, that's how you would split your screen. So it splits it for you. And this is another way that you can see your students and then see what you're presenting at the same time. Maybe you want your students bigger over here, and then you want what you're presenting smaller over here. That's the way to do it. You can always, of course, adjust it too if you wanted to. You just have to, you know, click and drag and play around with it. Okay. Oop. I'm sorry, I just stopped screen sharing. Let me share again. Okay. All right. That was Duelist, so that's how you can split your screen and again see your students and see what you're presenting at the same time. And last is a Google Meet enhancement suite. So those are just little things that you can add for yourself or for extra features that you're looking to do. Oh, I need to make a new one. And that only happened because I left it and I was the only one in it. Okay, so the Google enhancement suite is up here, looks like this. And so you can do something called push to talk. So it's kind of like a walkie-talkie. And I also want to mention, since I have this downloaded, it doesn't mean all of my students do. This is just something that I have on my computer. So if I want to be able to push to talk, I just have to, I click that button. And then when I'm on here, I'm just pressing my spacebar and letting it go for it to see how it's muting and unmuting. I'm just clicking my spacebar. So when you hold down your spacebar, it allows you to talk. Auto join is another option. So when I join, on the right-hand side, I have to click to join or present. This allows you just to skip that screen entirely. So it just brings you right into the meeting, which I know some people don't like all the clicking. It's just an easier way to get in. You can quick leave if you wanted to. So you would just press Shift-K. And when you press that, it would just make you leave the call. Auto captions are on here, but it's now actually in Google since it's a newer feature that was added. But you could turn it on this way as well with this extension. You can auto mute yourself or turn your video off. You can pin the bottom bar. Like I said, sometimes it goes away and it comes back up. This is a way to pin it so it's always there. And if you want, you can actually hide participant names, which would be good if you're taking pictures of your students on there. I just noticed this myself, but it shows, I think it shows their entire name, which I didn't like, but you can hide their name so that you can't see them if you're, of course, if you're taking pictures too. And these are the pro features that I have since I paid for it. I just did it for the month because, again, there's going to be so many new features, hopefully next month, that I won't need most of them. But you can do picture-in-picture, which just means there's in the corner, it's just their picture smaller in the corner. I don't really use that at all. You can make the bar transparent, which I like to do. It makes it transparent so you can see through it and it doesn't get in the way. So did you see how it turned black? I'll show you again. So this is what it typically looks like, and then it turns black if you wanted to. You can do dark mode, which is kind of like, you know, on Twitter and your phone, you can do dark mode if you prefer that. You can do auto full screen. So Google Meet is always in full screen. You can always turn that off too. You can toggle the bottom bar to appear if you want to. You can display timers. So if I did that, it would just show how long we've been going. If you really, if you want to do a timer and you want to say, okay, we have 10 minutes, I have my timer going, I'll play music when it's time to come back. This is a good way to do that. You can hide the mute pop-up. So I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of times while I've been speaking on here, it keeps saying, are you speaking? And it's just asking, I am speaking, but it's asking because I'm muted and it wants to make sure I know. So you can hide that if you want to. You can auto pin the chat, which means that the chat is always open. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of features on here. Oh, right down here is where you can mute all or you can remove all. I can't do it right now because no one else is in it, but I used this the other day. We were doing the pledge and I said, okay, I want to try to use my new extension I have, so I muted everyone at once. You can remove everyone at once as well. We haven't used it. We've been kind of, you know, hanging out in Meet and helping students with any work that they had questions with. So, but I can do that. I have the power to do that now if I wanted to. Oh, and lastly, I have these emojis down here, which come with the extension as well, right down here. So I can send a heart if I want to. All right. So those are the only extensions I've used, and I haven't really had problems with at all. If anything, the Google Meet, I flip back and forth. Right now it's on my personal one up here, so I flip back and forth from my personal account, and then I flip to my school one. So I don't have it for both, so I don't have the features for both. On my personal one, I guess I accidentally downloaded it that way, but this way I can use all of them down here. Yeah, so those are some extensions that I absolutely love to use. Right in this little bubble, if you click on it, sorry, I know I'm going over time, I promise I'm almost done. This shows all the new releases for anything Google related. So it shows like these are all things for Drive, for Google Meet right here. You can see that it gives you more control. It split large screen meetings into smaller forms, which is the breakout rooms. There's a digital whiteboard. So Jam is actually going to be a button in Google Meet now, the Jam that I showed you. You'll be able to raise your hand. There's going to be a Q&A type of session where you ask a question for a meeting. Attendance is going to be in there. Noise cancellation, so that you can't hear background noise, like my dog that's been crying all morning. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, and that's all for that. And then the screen blurring, like I said, it already came out, so it's not on this one that's coming. That technically is already out. So the screen sharing came out, and there was something else that came out. I can't remember what that was. The two things have already came out, and so we're just patiently waiting for them. All right, let me check the chat. If you have any questions, please. Where is the chat? I can't open it. If you have any questions, please let me know. Let me stop sharing. Oh, there it is. Okay. So the breakout rooms, you can't. There is an extension for it. I'm pretty good with the computer, but I still couldn't figure it out. It absolutely was not working for me no matter what I tried. And when I make the different the links to the calls, it was not linking for me at all. I don't really know what was going on, so I kind of gave up on that. But there is an extension for breakout rooms if you wanted to try it. I wasn't crazy about it, but they are going to be adding it right to Google Meet so that you can do it right from there. There is an attendance on the bottom of the presentation. Let me send it one more time, so it just came back in. So if you want to do the attendance, it's the last slide. I would definitely keep that slide too, so that if you want to use Google Meet, you have it. I'm sorry, I'm just scrolling back. I downloaded the grid view and the grid view fix. Yes, delete the old grid view and only keep the fix. If you have both, they don't work either. That Google list, I have it in that slideshow I just sent. So it's, anyone can look for that. It's just on the Google website, and it shows things that are coming in the future. It shows new features that are already available. I'm sure you noticed in Drive too, the sharing features of it, a lot of them have been changing, so you can see everything in there. If you switch extensions for attendance and delete one, add one. I'm not sure where the records save to. Is it just a spreadsheet it saves to, or is it, does it just save in Google? Oh, so they'll stay in Drive, they won't delete. Anything that's in Drive stays there unless you personally delete it. So that's okay, they'll stay there. Okay, great. And the sign-in is in the slide that I'm sending. It's the last slide. It's I can't remember which picture it is. Let's see. I'll send the actual link to the actual attendance in here if that's easy for you. So it's just the format. It looks like it's together, but it says https forms.gle, that one. And if you have any questions, I will be on here for about 10 more minutes. If you're all done, then you're more than welcome to go. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you learned something new today.